You know what? Sometimes I'm feeling like Uncle Rico from the movie Napoleon Dynamite, reliving my high school glory days where I could throw a football over a mountain. Nevertheless, as much as they have rubbed it in our faces with DEI, with calling us a big threat to the United States while they let the 2020 BLM and Antifa rioters burn down cities, I have to relive these moments of glory from Election Day. And today we're going to watch one of the most disingenuous people on the left melting down, Mr. David Pakman, this man who at two different occasions claimed that he did not know who James O'Keefe was on major shows, the Patrick Bet-David show and originally on Joe Rogan. That's the depravity of this individual and how dishonest he is.
And here we go.
If indeed we defeat the scourge or scourge that is MAGA today, and we set it to the dustbin.
Notice the framing.
Okay, as Ron DeSantis would say.
What a horrible impression.
It is the start of 4 years of opportunity
to destroy the country.
Kamala Harris the most progressive president that we can make her.
Yeah.
And we will celebrate that it's the first woman president. And we
will
say
because
this
your
was the
identity
right
politics.
result. And then we get to work. Okay?
And then we
On
get
the
to
other
work.
hand, if indeed MAGA prevails tonight, then we are going to be up against 4 years of some of the most high-stakes defense that you can imagine. So it's going to be fight, 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 as they like to say. Now, let me, if none of this is unexpected, but I do think that there is an early signal here that we can look at, and let me tell you what it is. If we look at Indiana, with 13% reporting, Trump is winning by 24, okay? In 2020, Trump won Indiana by 16. Now, I am going to, if you want conjecture, hyperbole, and nonsense, I'm sure there are other channels out there. I know there must be, okay?
Not any that
if you want the facts,
as much as you.
This is the channel for that.
No,
okay?
That's definitely not true.
The fact is, Trump won by 16 in Indiana in 2020, and he's currently winning by 24.
That sounds like good news. Why are you framing it as bad?
We don't yet know what to make of it, other than to say Trump's currently leading Indiana by 50% more than he won it in 2020. If you say to me, David, is that a good sign or a bad sign?
A good sign.
It's definitely not a good sign.
You're wrong.
When it comes to Kentucky, right now Trump is winning by 42. He won Kentucky last time by 26. If winning by 26 or winning by 42, which one reflects more strength? It's winning by 42. Now, it's only 6% reporting.
David.
We've got a long night ahead of us. Everybody relax. But the point here is we're looking with now. Oh, no. Kentucky obviously is going to Trump. But the issue is Trump only won it by 26 last time, and he's currently winning by over 40. If you said, David, is that good or bad? I would say, well, it's not exactly the most exciting thing to me. Early numbers from Florida with 8% reporting have Trump winning by 12.6. It's only 8%, but Trump is winning there by 12.6. In Florida presidential results. In 2020, Trump won Florida by less than 4, and he's currently winning by 12. It's only 8% reporting. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves, okay? Now, so that's where we are right now. We're not getting ahead of ourselves.
Relax.
Everybody relax, but we are just paying attention to what is. Now, with 19% reporting in Florida, it is a 5-point race. This is much more competitive than that first tranche of votes. So again, now with the third tranche, it's even tighter. with 23% of the vote
She's
in
gonna win Florida.
It is a 4-point race. That's exactly the result from 2020. And so if you wanted to extrapolate, and that's all we have right now because it's early in the night, we're just gathering data. If you wanted to extrapolate, Florida looks as good/bad as it ended up in 2020. If otherwise everything matches up with Florida, that's not a bad sign for Kamala Harris. On the other hand, we have Kentucky and Indiana, where Trump is currently blowing out his 2020 numbers. That's a sign that is bad for Harris and good for Trump. So we're going to watch that.
Good for the nation.
And then finally, we have some early numbers from New Hampshire. With 6 votes counted, we have 3 votes for Kamala Harris and 3 votes for Donald Trump. I would say it is too early to call. More votes in from Florida, and it has tightened even more. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now getting very interesting in Florida. Florida, which has been assumed to be lost in the dust, in the garbage, in the trash, as has been a theme lately. In Florida, it was a 4-point win for Trump in 2020. Trump leads by only 2 with 30% of the vote in. If you want a good sign for Kamala Harris, it would be that.
Everybody starts celebrating on the Kamala side.
Are we likely to see a red mirage tonight, asks Jay. It is absolutely possible. It is absolutely possible that we will indeed see a red mirage tonight. As I've said before, I don't know how many of you were with me in 2020, okay? But in 2020, when we wrapped up around, I don't remember exactly what time, most of my audience was convinced that it was time to call it for Trump. And I said, it is not yet time to panic. I will tell you when is the time to panic. And you know what? Let's just do a refresh here to see if anything has changed. In Florida,
in case they forgot, the uncreased, pre-signed ballots that they were redeeming by the hundreds of thousands at the drop boxes, that's what you would have had to worry about back then.
34% reporting. We have a 3 and change point lead for Donald Trump, consistent with what we expected. Kamala Harris does not need Florida to become president.
And she ain't getting it.
Georgia, with 1% reporting, has Trump +9. If at 8 o'clock we see Georgia leaning Trump with the massive vote dump, we see North Carolina leaning Trump and Pennsylvania leaning Trump, Kamala Harris may have no path because she needs at least one of those 3. On the other hand, if at 8:05 tonight, this is 55 minutes from now, if at 8:05 tonight, Kamala Harris is leading Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, it is Trump who may have no path. On the other hand, if those 3 states are tight just after the stroke of 8 p.m. today, we could be in for a long night, and indeed we may not know the results for days. That may be the case, and we will find out soon. Let's get the latest update. And boy, oh boy, with 3% reporting, Georgia has flipped to Kamala Harris. Let's remember it is very early. Now, if you want any indication from Trump as to how today is going based on the information he's getting, he is already talking about deploying law enforcement to Philadelphia because of massive cheating. And he now has added to that just an hour ago, saying that Philadelphia and Detroit now have a heavy law enforcement.
I just want to say that Democrats have never cheated in any election, that they are the most honest people alive. I mean, who would doubt the fact that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation, which is what they claimed, or that Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago should be valued at $18 million and thus you can sue him into bankruptcy. There's nothing politically dishonest about that.
Presence, presumably due to fraud and cheating. So not exactly a projection of strength, if you ask me. Let me put it that way. We are getting early numbers from Georgia, where so far it's looking very nice for Kamala Harris.
Very nice
What
for
I can
Kamala.
tell you is this. If Kamala Harris wins Georgia by 3, it's going to be a very good night for Kamala Harris, because remember that famously Joe Biden won Georgia with just under 12,000 vote margin. Okay. So if indeed that holds, if indeed Kamala Harris can hold a 3-point lead in Georgia, that is a very, very good sign.
They don't have enough ballots for that.
Oh boy. With 44% reporting, Trump is now leading by 6 in Florida. Now, let me give you the bad news and the good news, okay? The bad news and the good news. The bad news about Trump leading by 6 in Florida is that he won by less than 4 in 2020, which suggests Trump-mentum. On the other hand, Trump probably needs Florida to win. He certainly does. Kamala Harris does not. So with all of this data that comes in, you can interpret it a number of different ways, but certainly you would prefer to see a smaller margin there. Look at Georgia and you see Kamala's winning by 2.5. Oh, that's great. Here's the critical number. Recall that the margin in 2020 was 12,000 votes. Right now, they are separated by only 4,250 votes or so. So we say to ourselves, this is too early to be meaningful because the margin is only a fraction of one of the smallest margins we've ever had. So very early there, no reason to get, our pantaloons in a bunch at this point in time. Very simple. Okay, now with 53% of the vote, Trump is leading by 7.5 in Florida.
That sounds very good.
It's hard to interpret that and say rah, rah, rah. Very difficult.
But
Very
Democrats
difficult
can try.
because that is
Go for
now
it.
nearly double Trump's margin of victory in 2020. You don't like to see that. No reason to
No,
panic.
you do. You really do.
We're all staying calm. We're adults, most of us here. It's early, but that is not necessarily something that you love to see. Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3. But now I can hear myself. That's the problem. Yeah, that's not good. That wouldn't be it.
That's the election for you for Democrats.
You know what it might be? Okay.
Okay.
Continue to check back in with you. Miles O'Brien.
Dear God.
All right.
It's what's been called, it's still 3-19. We do have some early data that could potentially be a concern. In Florida, with 64% reporting, Trump is now winning by almost 8. This is double the lead from 2020. Not a good sign, but it is still only 64% reporting.
It's an excellent sign,
We
David.
still have only 4% reporting. Right now, Trump's lead is 7,500 votes. He lost by 12,000 in 2020. We're going to monitor that closely. If you're Kamala Harris, it's basically like, okay, you're sort of getting most of what you need, other than Georgia isn't looking awesome. That's what I would kind of point to. But remember, we had the red
hole in the
mirage
ship.
in 2020,
Little hole in the
and
ship.
we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here at all, because we saw how that
just
worked
a red
out.
mirage.
We saw
Don't
how that
worry
worked
about
out,
it.
last time around. The clearer picture of whether we have a blowout here potentially or not. So we're keeping an eye on North Carolina, and the first tranche from Ohio has Trump ahead. Trump needs Ohio. Kamala Harris does not. Okay, so that's the important thing to understand. And Florida now with 73% reporting has Trump winning by 9. The worst sign
9.
of this entire election so far is Trump winning by 9 in Florida, where he won by less than 4 in 2020. Now, do people want the counterpoint? Like the bad sign
Go
is
ahead, make
Trump's
it up.
doubling his 2020 Florida margin.
Reframe it for us.
Does
Give us the
anybody
propaganda.
care to have the counter to that?
Yes, for
Or
humor
do we
purposes.
just move on?
No, for humor purposes. Go for
Any
it.
counter? Okay. The counter is Trump needs Florida. Kamala doesn't. And based on MAGAT movement to Florida over the last 4 years, it makes sense that Trump would win Florida by more. And those are voters that now will not be voting for Trump in states that might actually swing the election. That's the counterpoint. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm giving
There's
you both
the
sides of this
reframe.
thing.
There's the
That is
propaganda.
That's the counter. So we have to wait. Anybody panicking so far? Anybody in the audience panicking so far on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or X? Anybody panicking? Couple people here.
Yeah, baby.
Couple people panicking. Okay.
Okay.
Some
okay.
people are hyperventilating. A lot of panic right now. Okay. All right. Listen, we're here together, okay? I told you last time, I will tell you when it's time to panic, and I will. I will tell you when it's time to panic. Don't worry. As we are live with results, so far, mostly everything as expected. Some early signs that could be good for Kamala Harris. Some early signs that could be potentially good for Donald Trump. This is very good news. Mark Robinson has been defeated. The trans porn locker room peeping once slavery self-described black Nazi has lost. We're looking for good news, and we certainly found some of it. That is excellent, excellent to hear. Not so good. Let me see if we can look at Florida this way. So, wow. Miami's 80% in, and they went for Trump. Okay, if Miami's going for Trump,
that's good news.
I mean, listen, guys, it's not looking good. Florida is looking very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. And so it just doesn't. It seems out of reach. Okay, it seems very much out of reach. Florida
Definitely
will likely
agree
go
for
to Trump.
once.
The question, of course, is does Trump having twice as big of a victory in Florida as he did last time mean anything about the rest of the country? And we just don't know the answer to that yet.
Magic 8 Ball
We
says
don't know the
yes.
answer to that yet, but maybe we will soon. There is an unfortunate reality that I think we have to confront today.
Yes, please confront
And it is not
David.
that Kamala Harris is going to lose. We're so far from that. If Donald
Not really.
Trump wins, of course, we all know that it's the beginning of some extraordinarily high stakes defense. We are not going to call anything until it is time to call it. But regardless, these next 4 years will be critical, given what's going on with women's rights and bodily autonomy, given what's going on with threats to democracy, given what's going
From
on
the
with
Democrats.
climate, given what's going on with
Made
so
up
many
hoax.
different things. So I have an entire, can I tell you, just so people know, the first paragraph, the first chapter, the introduction to my book is called Why I Hate Politics, okay? And it lays
That's
out
why you
what
do
I'm
it for a
telling you
living.
right now. The American political space is toxic. It often surprises people to hear that I hate politics. One would imagine the host of a political talk show would like politics. But the problem is that we must engage with bad faith, ignorant, despicable people.
Like yourself. This is confession through projection. You are the most despicable, bad faith debater that I've ever seen. It's over and over again. Again, you pretended to not know 2 times what Project Veritas was and who James O'Keefe was. That makes you a shill for the Democrats and a total liar.
And if we say I'm out, as I write about in the book, if we say I'm out, they go unopposed. Okay? So there's no reason to lose hope. It's so early. The point is, let's not fail where we have failed in the past. And let's make sure that we stick with this no matter who wins. The Florida numbers, now with 80% reporting, this is close to ready to fall to Donald Trump. Why are we so focused on Florida if Kamala doesn't need it? The reason we care about this is that if Trump more than doubles his win in Florida, it potentially is a signal about what's to come elsewhere.
It portends
That's
good
why
times.
we care about it. That's why we care about it. H. King is saying, are we in the red mirage phase of election night? We may be, but I don't, I'm never going to, I'm not going to sway one way or the other beyond what the data tells us. I'll give you, Florida is probably not a red mirage, and it starts to get really tough. I think Florida is likely going to be called pretty damn soon. And I hate to say it, but it's likely
Good.
what's going to happen.
That makes me happy.
Not a good sign. But we have Kamala doesn't need Florida. That's really odd. I don't know what else 35 and 105. Ohio. Whoa, look at what's. Ladies and gentlemen, we just got a ton of results here. And Florida. Florida has fallen, and it is in Trump's corner with what
fallen,
is
it's
right
risen.
now
It hath risen.
brutal victory for Donald Trump. If you want to see the two worst signs so far, they are that
best.
Trump seems to have more than tripled his margin of victory from 2020 in Florida. Okay? And that in
YMCA.
Georgia, with a third of the vote in, Trump's winning by 9. That's not good. Oh, we've got some Pennsylvania numbers.
Very good.
We have the first Pennsylvania numbers, and with 3% of the vote, it is a blowout for Kamala Harris, but still very, very early. So listen, there are people in the audience who are already panicking. But let me tell you why it doesn't make sense to panic right now. So far, all we know is that Trump won Florida by way more than he won it last time. Okay, Trump needs Florida. Kamala Harris doesn't need Florida. Georgia is not looking great. But Kamala Harris, as I've pointed out in the maps I've set up for all of you, Kamala Harris can lose Georgia. If she gets Pennsylvania and gets North Carolina, where she's leading right now, she's fine. She's fine.
Totally fine.
And Ohio, with 31% reporting, is Kamala plus 7.
Ooh,
that's already
she's going to win
starting
Ohio.
to become an interesting number. What I can tell you is that this map does not change Trump's paths to victory. Trump was going to have to flip Georgia and or Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada. He needs to flip stuff. Kamala
I have a feeling he has
Harris
flipped them all.
can calmly lose Georgia, but if she were to get some combination of Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Texas, I don't even know why we're talking about Texas. I don't believe she will ultimately win Texas, but there are other paths here. She wins. So I know that there are people that are panicking already in my audience. 4 years ago, I told you, I will let you know when to panic. We are nowhere near any
We'll
time
take the
needing
cue.
to panic.
You just let us know, David.
Let him win Florida by 12 if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think he does.
But can he get some of these other states? Now, early numbers from Pennsylvania, with 5% reporting Kamala Harris with a blowout lead.
Blowout.
In Ohio, with 34%
no coming back from
reporting.
that.
This one is getting interesting. Pennsylvania at 5%, it's not super interesting yet. Ohio with 34% and Harris leading by 5 is very, very interesting.
Very
in Pennsylvania,
interesting.
We have a really interesting scenario where with 5% of the vote, now 6% of the vote, Harris is winning by 52. I'm just going to tell you.
That'll hold up.
If Harris can hold these leads in Pennsylvania and North Carolina, they're so early and they're so small. If Harris can hold those, it could be an early night. It could be an early night. In the sense that she might just have a blowout here. I'm not predicting that. What I'm telling you is if we continue to see that, that's the direction that it would go. Okay. One of those is Pennsylvania, where with 7% reporting, she's currently winning by almost 50. Now, she's not going to win by 50 in the end. But if she were to get Pennsylvania and North Carolina, she actually doesn't need Georgia, assuming everything else holds. Now,
Donald Trump with 46.5% of the vote. Harris has a 36,000 plus vote lead. That's with only 11% of the estimated vote in from North Carolina. It is still very early in North Carolina.
Let me address the people like this individual, Ezekiel, who says, can I start panicking now? Just remember 2020. I will tell you when there is reason to panic. There are some signs that don't look good for Trump and some signs that don't look good for Kamala Harris. It is nowhere near time to panic. I see people on Twitch. I see people on YouTube and on X. There's a lot of people getting worried. There is really no reason to get worried right now. Okay?
I'm not worried.
In fact, now, I don't know that this is going to happen. Okay? It's just not yet time to panic. Give me an hour and then we'll start panicking. I've got I've got chickpea snacks. I've got a Kind bar. We haven't even broken those out yet. We can't panic until we break those out. Okay, so the point here is
not until the Kind bar gets broken out.
It's just too early. It's just too early to start the panicking right now. Let's see what there's. What's this? So this isn't great. With 37% reporting, Virginia, a state expected to be a Harris state, has a very small lead for Donald Trump. Let's look at, and with 37% of the vote, Trump is leading. Trump is leading. It is not yet time to panic. Okay? Look.
Never time to panic.
If this were time to panic,
never time to panic.
You wouldn't see all of these people signing up on my website. They'd be saying, I'm done, I'm out.
Good.
But they seem to get what's going on and or are panicking and are saying, damn, we really got to support some independent media here because some of this stuff is starting to look a little bit rough.
Anybody but you.
Some of this stuff is starting to look a little bit rough. Indiana has been called for Trump. I just want to warn people, Pennsylvania counts votes slowly, very, very slowly, very, very slowly. So we just need to be prepared for quite a night there, quite a night. How long will I be streaming? I don't know. It depends on what it's looking like. Depends on what it's looking like. We are getting some concerning signals and some okay signals, I guess I would say. Let's go. Adam says, David, my friend texted me Trump is minus 220 in the betting markets. Do you mind taking a look at those? Let's do it. I am going to look at 3 betting markets: Predict It, Kalshi, and Polymarket. Why do I look at Polymarket? Polymarket is this Peter Thiel thing. I'm not suggesting that it's accurate. It is an indicator of where the money is going. Was. Okay, so these are betting markets as to what's going on. We start with Predict It. Over the last period of time, Trump's odds of winning based on the money have skyrocketed. This was essentially 50-50 this morning, and Trump's odds of winning have skyrocketed based on people who are betting. Over on Kalshi, as you can see, a vertical line from what was 50-50 just a couple of days ago and what was considered 60-40 this morning, this has skyrocketed, putting Trump's odds of winning at 66%. And then finally,
trust what people do with their money,
which is the Peter Thiel associated kind of astroturfed thing.
Oh, yeah, it's astroturfed.
Trump's numbers also skyrocketing, now considered to be 72, 72.2, 72.5. It seems to be climbing before our very eyes, But it's
astroturf, David. Don't worry about it.
I don't think that these are accurate per se, but certainly it's interesting to see that there is money flowing in right now, to those who believe that it is Donald Trump who is ultimately going to prevail in this election.
He will.
If I were Harris, I would be realizing it. Oh, and North Carolina has just fallen now. With a complete and total reversal.
It's risen,
the North Carolina
fallen.
Path for Harris has reversed as Donald Trump has taken a lead now in North Carolina. North Carolina, with 16% reporting, still early, but a reversal from just 30 minutes ago. Trump has taken a lead. Georgia with 52% reporting. We still have an 11-point lead for Trump, okay? The numbers are evolving, and they are evolving quickly. In Michigan, with 7% reporting, Kamala Harris with the lead that we were expecting, okay? Oh, dear. We just had an update. We now have a quarter of the vote in North Carolina, and Trump's lead has swelled from 65,000 to 95,000.
That seems very good.
Oh, boy.
Deep breath, David. Deep breath.
Oh, yeah.
Is it time to panic now? Do we have your permission?
The tunnel is closing. Okay. Totally doable. Totally doable. But you've got to start making that up. Right now, Harris is tracking to win Fulton County by less than Biden won it in 2020. To me, that's a sign that it's going in the very much wrong direction. We need more data. But I don't want to pretend that Georgia's looking good. It is very plausible, very plausible.
At least he's being slightly honest about this. If you take a look at the other election meltdown videos that I have, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, they were all taking in copious amounts of hopium and distributing it to their viewers. At least he's reading the tea leaves more accurately.
That Trump is going to take Georgia, and then it's going to come down to the rest of the map. Harris is still losing in Virginia, according to some of these panels.
Das ist gut.
Virginia.
Das ist very good.
Yeah, that's interesting. Decision Desk has called Virginia for Kamala Harris. Assuming that's true, that
you have your doubts, David?
One way that she could have lost.
But Trump doesn't need for Virginia.
Right. The fact
right?
that
That's
we
what she'll
just
tell us about
counted
Trump.
an additional 3% of the vote and Harris's lead went up, that's very good news. On the other hand, it's very regionalized, and it has to do with where the vote in Pennsylvania is coming from. And we heard from John King on CNN that there is a lot of rural Pennsylvania, or rural, as some like to say, still to be counted. So we just can't really say too much
Rural
about that.
voters make better decisions than suburban ones do.
What am I getting here from the team? It seems that my production team isn't super worried right now.
They must be Trump supporters.
That's good news. That's good news.
I guess they're Trump supporters secretly stabbing you in the back.
And we are now getting
so
those
many
9
would
p.m. poll
enjoy
closings.
doing.
Let's listen. Critical moment in
Not
this
literally.
race.
Biggest wave of results this evening. 163 electoral votes will be up for grabs, and we're
Here we
watching several crucial battlegrounds. CNN's going to bring you this projection right now. CNN projects that Texas will go to Donald Trump. The state of Texas, as expected,
That's
to
good.
Donald Trump with its big bucket of 40 electoral votes. CNN also projects
to reap those
but if
votes.
she gets Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, she has the 270 she needs. This is a completely plausible scenario here. Completely plausible scenario.
Is it really? Or are you peddling the hopium again?
And that's 270. So actually, this isn't looking so bad, right?
Other than what the betting markets are telling you.
Now, people are saying they're nervous about Virginia. Virginia's been called by Decision Desk already. Yeah, this is now looking like a possible and plausible scenario. If this is your first election, you might look at this map and go, "Oh my God, look! It's look at this." You have to know what to look for here. But there is still a very clear path here. A very clear path here for Kamala Harris. Is it time to panic? I just don't think so. I just don't think at this point it's time to panic.
You haven't given us permission. We're still waiting for permission to panic.
Now let's see where we are. With 18% reporting, Harris's lead is 283. Okay. I don't want to alarm anybody.
Don't do it, David. Don't tell us to panic.
In the shift from 15
We're
to 18%,
going to jump off the roofs of our houses.
Harris's lead was reduced by 15%. Okay. 3% of the vote was just counted. Harris's lead shrunk by 15%. The trajectory in Pennsylvania is worrying me a little bit, if I'm totally honest. And I would only be totally honest with you.
Are you ever totally honest, David?
You know, with the results we have so far, you can forget about a lot of it. Because if Harris holds Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, assuming she doesn't lose anything that's not a swing state, she still gets to 270. That's
Hold on to the blue wall ever more tightly.
That's the critical thing to understand here. Pennsylvania, we're keeping a super close eye on. Let's again evaluate where this is going. We now have 20% reporting in Pennsylvania, and Kamala Harris's lead is 239.75. Okay. My biggest area of concern right now is Pennsylvania. If that trend continues, it's not at all clear that Harris is going to be able to hold Pennsylvania. And that now becomes a real red alert scenario. In fact, we just got another
Should
ding
we start
here,
panicking, David?
With 21%, Harris's lead has now gone to 17 and 46 is 63. Oh, my goodness.
Uh-oh.
That is, I don't know. Whoops, I just drew on, oh my goodness. I just drew on my face. Look at that. Oh dear
No,
God.
thanks.
I'm going to have to sit with that now the rest of the stream. My God. Okay.
My goodness.
I don't know if networks are talking about the Pennsylvania stuff. Okay. See if I can use a little water here. Hold on. This is not going well.
No, not going well like Kamala's election bid.
Oh my God. It's just going to be there. I think I almost got it. Okay. Harris's lead is down 21% in just the last little bit of time. Just the last little bit of time. These are concerning numbers. These are concerning numbers. The upside is Pennsylvania's counting votes, which is never something you can assume. But the downside is that the lead is shrinking, and it's shrinking relatively quickly. I just don't think we can really even start to worry about that. Most of my focus right now is on Pennsylvania and on Georgia. Now, it looks like we got another little tick here to 22%. Let's see where the margin is. At 22%, the Harris margin is 247. Folks, I'm getting worried about Pennsylvania. I'm getting very worried about Pennsylvania.
Is it time
Harris
to panic?
has
Once again, I
lost
ask.
Nearly 100,000 in margin over the last 10%. You don't have to be a math genius to realize if every 10% of the vote in Pennsylvania, Harris loses 86,000 votes, she loses Pennsylvania. So at some point, this trend has to turn around. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. Of interest here, Georgia looking out of reach for Harris, but she can still win without it. North Carolina, Trump has now re-extended his lead to over 100K with over 50% reporting. And oh boy, Pennsylvania now with 25%, Harris's lead is down to, oh my God, whoops.
Do the math,
25%
David.
reporting, 220. Okay, so you all know what I think about that. It's potentially very problematic.
No. Good news.
Almost certainly, Republicans are going to take the Senate. I told you about this a while ago. I restated it yesterday. It's just the nature of the map of what's up for election this time. So that's where we are on the Senate. But we are going to wait and see. All we can do is wait and see. Actually, let's update the betting market numbers just to see where we're at.
Let's take a look.
Donald Trump's odds are continuing to skyrocket. They were just at 63%, and now they are at 73%. It's not exact because it's a betting market. These add up to more than 100, but very roughly speaking, this is predicted. Over on Kalshi, Trump's odds of winning continue to climb to 73%. And then on Polymarket, the Peter Thiel funded thing, they continue to climb now to 78%. I don't believe that this is a 78-21 race right now. To me, this is still 50-50.
But you're worried.
Especially,
in fairness, he has not yet given us permission to panic.
Especially because just by holding Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, Harris
just that.
wins
That's
even
all
if
she
he
needs.
loses a bunch of stuff. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, these are very good odds. In other words, getting 21% odds on something that you believe is 50% likely to happen is a pretty damn good bet. Now, I don't bet, so it's not for me.
Yeah, so you don't put your money where your mouth is. Why don't you do that, David? If you think that you're getting great odds, you should put $50,000 down on it like Destiny did on his live stream. You can find that on my channel page.
Me, but in theory, it would be for someone who bets that could be done.
We're doing really well. If you're in line, stay in line. Don't let them take you off that line.
By the way, who's trying to take Republicans off of the line? I mean, it's just like, we want everybody to vote.
I don't know. What do you think happened in Maricopa County when the machines in Republican areas went down and they said, wait, of course they're going to say, wait, but people have other things to do. And he's encouraging Republicans to stay in line, in part because there is a history of this, David.
I'm going to tell you guys right now, if Harris just loses this fair and square, then she just lost, right? I mean, it's like the country is very screwed up, obviously. But if she lost, she lost. Yeah. Getting people out of line. Give me a break, dude.
We're going to win it big. Thank you.
All right. Polymarket, Polymarket is now seeing a reversal. This is very interesting. The peak here
but it's that Peter
we saw
Thiel
for
thing.
Trump of 78, it's actually starting to reverse. And I think the reason that it's reversing is that there is a really clear path here for Kamala Harris. It doesn't mean she's going to win this.
Through the blue wall?
But there is a super clear path, which is just she wins Pennsylvania, she wins Michigan, she wins
what
Wisconsin.
Else?
Now, I know you might be concerned about Minnesota
being
red. It's 1% reporting.
There.
I don't see any way, especially with Tim Walz being from Minnesota and the polling being so overwhelming there. I don't see any way that Minnesota goes for Trump at all. So that's sort of a non-factor. And then,
that's because
interestingly,
Minnesotans,
Iowa,
in all likelihood, on average, have low IQs.
Along. And what a humiliation it would be for Trump if he ends up losing Iowa, a state that he did win in 2020. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's happening here in Pennsylvania. We just got another 5% of the vote, and Harris's lead is now down to 116. I don't want to alarm you, but Harris's lead from 12 to 32% of the vote counted has shrunk by 66%. 66%.
I like that trend.
If Pennsylvania goes Trump, it's very bad.
Maybe you would have to rethink your hypothetical bet, David.
Very, very, very bad. Harris is going to gain 500,000 votes in margin. Okay? That's the good news. The bad news is there are a hell of a lot of places here that have just, it's bad. It's red. It's going to be red, okay? 1,000. Yeah, so like Trump beat Biden by 37 there. So I'm not going to lie. On the one hand, there is about 500,000 votes that Harris will gain in margin from these cities. On the other hand, her margin is declining every time more ballots are counted, and that I
seems
can't
to
say
be at
that
odds
that's
with
very
one
good.
another, doesn't it?
Now with 33%, her margin is under 100. Wow. Now it's down to 16 and 78 would be 94. You know,
deep breath,
this is
David,
one of
deep
those
breath.
things where you can tell yourself any story you want. We are going to just have to count the votes. We're going to just have to count the votes, and the trajectory isn't good.
But it's looking very good, and the markets are reflecting that.
So listen, the conspiracy people are convinced that Trump is going to win this thing. Is Trump?
It's a giant conspiracy. The idea that Trump could possibly win is a giant conspiracy. Oh my God, the conspiracy people are saying that the COVID vax doesn't prevent transmission, that it doesn't prevent you from getting it. Conspiracy people. Oh my God, the COVID might have originated from the Wuhan laboratory, which was funding and studying virus research. Conspiracy theorists. This is why nobody likes you, because you don't give people credit for when they're correct. That goes for not only David Pakman, but the entire left-hand side of the aisle that write off people stating common sense things.
Trump going to win this thing? Well, I don't know. It's certainly conceivable that he will. North Carolina has gone to Donald Trump. What was a possible moment where maybe Harris could take it seems to have evaporated. North Carolina,
they called it,
has gone to Donald Trump. Now,
doesn't seem to have evaporated.
Political amateurs who are coming through here and saying, look, it's over. Trump's got twice her electoral votes. That all being said, another possible path to victory for Kamala Harris has been eliminated. There was a path to victory that included the possibility of North Carolina. That's not going to happen because North Carolina has indeed been called for scrumps. Now, Georgia
Disrespectful.
is very close to being
churlish.
out of reach. Very, very close. And in fact, I would expect Georgia to be called for Trump soon as well. Which, go back to my appearance on the Sean Mike Kelly show, my prediction was Harris wins, but by a smaller margin than Biden won. People saying, oh, she needs Pennsylvania now. She always needed Pennsylvania, really. Probably needed Pennsylvania all along, the way that it was all dropping. The lead is now 84, Trump making up another 10K. If you've been with us for the last hour and a half, Kamala Harris's lead in Pennsylvania has experienced shrinkage. Actually, hold on. Now it's 26.
Like George Costanza in cold water. It's shrinkage. Don't they know about shrinkage? I guess Kamala Harris and females, if she is in fact a female, who knows with these gender ideologues, she experienced shrinkage as well.
Plus, oh my goodness. There go another 30,000 votes at 37%. Harris's lead is only 51.
She was winning by 52%, you told us earlier.
84% of Harris's lead in Pennsylvania has evaporated. So this does not mean that it is over.
Counted in battleground Georgia, Donald Trump maintaining his lead, 51.9% of the vote. Kamala Harris, 47.1% of the vote. Donald Trump with a 208,000 plus vote lead. That's with 79% of the estimated vote in from the battleground state of Georgia.
Wow.
We're now getting...
If you're just joining us, we cannot anywhere close to say who is going to be the next president of the United States. We just don't have the data. We don't have the information. And then as far as Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, as of this moment, Harris is leading all three. Now, we have been tracking very closely that Kamala Harris's lead in Pennsylvania is diminishing and diminishing and diminishing. And now with 43% of the vote in, her margin is only 15,000. What was started 90 minutes ago with a...
You know, MAGA wanted to stake her a lead so that everybody like you got tremendous hope, and then we could squash it like a bug.
337,000 vote. I'm sorry, 333,000 vote margin has shrunk to 15,000 votes. Now, I see all the people in the chat that are saying, David, Pennsylvania's fine. They've still got to count more of Philadelphia. Let's hope that that is the case. Let's absolutely hope that that is the case.
But we all know it's
what we are seeing is the lead diminishing. And I got a report that actually the New York Times has Harris losing Pennsylvania right now. They have it within 3. Oh,
subscribe to the channel, guys.
With 44%
Let's revel in this. Thumb up the
vote,
video and subscribe.
Pennsylvania is now just plus 20, plus 18. No, hold on. Yes. Oh, wait. Trump is taking a lead. For the first time tonight.
That frozen moment of paralyzation.
With 44% of the Pennsylvania vote counted, Donald Trump.
You know when you smell feces in the air and you get that dawning realization that it was your shoe that went into it? That was David Pakman right there.
Is now leading by 18,000 votes. Now, I just want to remind you about what happened in 2020.
Red Mirage.
At 10 p.m. in Pennsylvania, we were winning by a lot. Remember when Trump said that? We did win this election. Okay.
What a horrible Trump
impression. And then they
that
kept counting
is.
ballots in Pennsylvania, the way they count them, and eventually Biden
the way
won.
they count them. All those ballots that came in by the truckload.
We just got another update.
Pre-signed.
Trump's lead is now up to 34,000 votes. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
He just doubled his lead. 46, Trump plus 34.
Do the math, David.
Trump just doubled his lead in Pennsylvania in 2 minutes. Okay. Pennsylvania takes a long time to count. It just does.
We got to make time.
Folks. We're gonna and it is flipped.
Bring in the trucks with all those pre-printed ballots,
so
like I said.
We're going to continue looking at that. Michigan is looking okay for Kamala Harris, where she is +3. Everybody's welcome here, regardless of who you supported. We don't tolerate slurs or epithets or epitaphs in the chat. We just don't do it. We don't do any of it. Okay?
Okay.
I know that many of you are extremely fatigued. I know that many of you are ready to check out of politics. And if Donald Trump were to win, we are going to need to play very high stakes defense for 4 years. And we are going to need strong independent media. So heavy focus and understand.
It's like a virus saying that we need to play defense against the antibiotic. Trump is the antibiotic seeking to rid the body of the United States of the progressive woke mind virus that has penetrated our defense systems and our schools. That's what David Pakman and all the progressives are playing defense for.
Understandably so on Pennsylvania. If Harris gets Pennsylvania, she's on track to become the next president. If she doesn't, her path becomes very, very difficult. As far as the betting markets go, let's get updates on the betting markets. On Predicted, Trump has surged to 87% chance of becoming the next president of the United States. On Kalshi, Trump has surged to 86% chance, 83% now, chance of becoming the next president. 86%. On the Peter Thiel poly market,
why does he
Trump
keep reminding us Peter
surged
Thiel?
To an 88% chance of becoming the next president of the United States.
I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break.
He is now leading by 241,000 votes, and it brings me no pleasure whatsoever to tell you this, but with, I'm sorry, that's the wrong state. With 48% now counted in Pennsylvania, a 333,000 vote lead for Kamala Harris has reversed into a 38,000 vote lead for Donald Trump. There are still votes from Pennsylvania that are going to dump in. Oh boy, some of these are not looking so good. Not looking so hot, I must say. Anybody who's confident about Pennsylvania right now, you're probably not paying attention to the data. Now,
you have
other
leftist
good
brain.
news is that Arizona is looking pretty okay for Kamala Harris. Imagine that Trump does get Pennsylvania, but Harris gets Arizona. Where does this leave us? In a very difficult place. You never want to be in that scenario. But I want to restate, I see people in the chat assuming Pennsylvania is dead. Pennsylvania is not dead.
Yes,
with 51%
it is.
reporting Trump's, oh dear God, with 51% reporting Trump's lead is 75K.
Just keeps getting better.
The biggest lead he's had tonight.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
But we are still expecting massive, massive dumps from the cities of Pennsylvania. And I just do not know. We have to go through and count the votes. We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, we will.
We'll find out very soon, and it'll be great news, and we're all going to learn that before you know it.
It will be great news. Absolutely,
Dave
I agree.
Says, it's over, dork, MAGA 2024. We have a projection from CNN.
Ohio, as expected, will go to Donald Trump. Ohio
was looking very interesting earlier, David Pakman said.
Let me address the it's over dork thing. You know, I understand that I'm the one here with the channel and the show, right? I understand that. So in some way, people see me here and they're like, oh, you suck because Trump wins. Or if Trump wins, you are the one who will cry, or whatever the case may be. Is it okay if I'm frank here? Would that be fair for me to say?
You never are.
I'm just going to be frank. This really isn't about how it affects me, right? Like, I'm not the one with a boss that might lay me off. I have a successful independent business that, to be honest, it'll do really well probably no matter who wins. But with Trump back at the helm,
he's making himself feel better based on the fact that all his projections, that everything that he's been working for is disintegrating in front of his eyes. So he's propping himself up on an external significance level to everybody else, trying to convince you that not only is he fine, but he's very successful. I'm not a big fan of this guy.
Doing terrorific stuff, it probably does better, right? Like, I want Harris to win in some wacky sense against my best interests. It's the people in red states who won't have access to contraceptive or family planning services. They are the ones going to suffer.
It's tragic,
it's the clowns
David.
in who knows
can't
where,
kill babies.
Whose child tax credit is going to get sliced rather than increased, right?
That's
so
just
the
not going to happen
that
with J.D. Vance.
I'm the one who loses if Trump wins. Honestly, it's probably more the people saying this stuff to me that are really the ones that lose if Trump wins. I'm going to be fine. You know, that's
it's
just
over,
kind of the
dork.
reality.
Deal with it.
Let's see the Pennsylvania numbers. So tight there. Okay. I mean, listen, I hate to tell you, the scenarios are just getting very, very narrow. They're getting very, very narrow.
Like your mind.
If Trump does get Wisconsin, it's very, very bad. Very, very bad for
It's very, very good.
For Harris.
Very, very good.
And Iowa, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I have to go back. Iowa has been called for Trump. And I had Iowa as blue that entire time. Let me back up. Okay, let's redo it. There are numbers of scenarios where Harris can still win this thing. But we're to lose.
Really?
Actually, Michigan, it looks like she's going to win. Ladies and gentlemen, Decision Desk has called Georgia. Georgia has fallen for the Democrats. And Georgia has been secured by Donald Trump. It's okay in the sense that Kamala Harris doesn't need it, but it does start to reduce the number of paths.
What's poly market right now, David? Check it. What's Peter Thiel's poly market?
Given that North Carolina is gone, given that Georgia is gone, even if Harris wins Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arizona, and Nevada, it would not be enough. Everything now depends on Pennsylvania.
That's
and
the
here's
biggie.
The asymmetrical scenario in which we find ourselves. She needs Pennsylvania. Trump does not. I see people in the chat. David's so upset. Pakman is seething. David, are you going to cry tonight?
Please do.
I don't know how many times I can explain this to you. This really isn't about me. I'm going to be fine, okay? I'm worried about other people. Like,
you're so kind-hearted. The empathy that
taxes.
you exude is
I don't
grand.
deserve a tax cut. It's not economically stimulative.
Then pay extra.
I'm just going to put the bun.
I love all the people that say that he's going to give me a tax cut. I don't deserve a tax cut. Then you can feel free to pay into the federal government extra money. None of them do, though. None of them do.
In a bank account, it doesn't make sense. I voted for Harris because it makes sense. It makes sense.
It makes no sense.
To say democracy has spoken. Trump, you're fake news. And it's always the wrong
You are fake news, David.
They just can't get that right. You know, I'm the one who has been getting criticized by my audience for saying, guys, Trump really might win this thing for months now. So I don't know what I said that's fake. Matt says this is disheartening.
How about the fact that you claimed not to know who James O'Keefe was on 2 different occasions on major podcasts? That is fake.
It's not over, folks. You've got to count the votes. You've got to count the votes, and we are just not ready to say that it is over yet. At last check, Trump led Pennsylvania by 118. He now leads by only 110. That's an improvement for Harris in Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah, she's going to win it. She's going to win it. I can feel it.
Pennsylvania for Harris. Last we looked in Arizona, Trump was winning by 2,900. Trump is still winning by 2,900. No update there. Last we looked in Michigan, Trump was winning by 23,000. He's now winning by 57,000. Okay.
Blue wall, baby.
In
Blue
Wisconsin,
wall.
Trump was winning by 26K. He is now winning by 35K. That's Trump's largest lead of the night in Wisconsin. Perry sent a $300 super chat and says this seems
Why would somebody
so
give David
familiar
Pakman $300?
and is disheartening. You know,
You spent $300 for
the idea
that?
that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to be overseeing the FDA and the CDC, and
That's fantastic
that
news.
is absolutely terrifying.
You know what's terrifying? Putting a man who claims to be a woman in charge of not only the health of the American public, but their mental health as well. You are putting somebody on the throne of America's healthcare system that is not only physically unhealthy, when you look at Richard Levine, but mentally unhealthy too. Going to JFK is somehow scary for you? Are you kidding me?
Absolutely terrifying. One of the scariest things to me,
That's why nobody
as
trusts you,
someone who
David.
values science and empiricism,
Yeah,
is
like-
that RFK,
Like the COVID vaccine, science, empiricism, mask up, inject 5-year-olds with the vax. Everybody must get it. Multiple doses is going to prevent transmission even after they know that it doesn't.
is going to start dipping his hands into all of those agencies. Terrifying, terrifying, terrifying. If you are about to head out, I understand that and I respect that. I really do.
Because it's over.
But I would love it if you stayed with us just a little bit longer. Every
No.
single
Yeah,
state.
do. Subscribe to this channel,
I
not
hate
his.
to acknowledge, but it is what's happening. Every state is going in the wrong direction right
The
now.
right
In the
direction.
popular vote, Donald Trump leading by nearly 6 million votes very early, very, very early.
It's still very
Has not
early,
been
huh?
Called. Now, we could be seeing a red mirage here, okay?
Yep.
But what is
All those
very
states.
clear is that Harris needs almost all of these states. Rob says via Super Chat, mail-in voting in 20 won Biden the election.
Mail-in
there is
cheating
still reason
won
to hope,
Biden
of
the
course.
election.
It's just that the path is narrowing. We have to acknowledge that the path is narrowing, but there is still a path for sure. There is still a path for sure, and there is going to be a lot of time during which that is going to be figured out. The margin is staying high, and the problem is that that tunnel starts to close, and you've got to drive faster and faster to make it out. Very possible, mathematically very possible, but it starts to become less and less likely. Less and less likely.
What percentage?
I'm
Zero?
being told
Zero's
by
a percent.
one of our team that Alan Lichtman on his stream is despondent over the fact that his keys may have gone wrong. I am a little curious about this. Let's just check out. We recently had him on the show. He's a really good guy. Let's see.
Stream. I don't give a shit.
Hey, watch your language.
Oh, I wasn't talking to my mom like that. I just was saying that generally. The chat is so hard to follow right now. It's so laggy.
I know.
You don't know that. You haven't seen the chat.
No, but I get it.
Oh my goodness. All right. So I don't know if despondent is net. Whoa, hold on a second. Wow, this is the wrong screen. I don't know if despondent is necessarily the word I would use, but I mean, listen, I do think that if the keys fall for Alan Keyes, Alan Keyes is a different guy. If the keys fall for Alan Lichtman, I do think it would be a devastating blow, you know, closer to
his
the
ego.
end of his political
Career?
predicting career. Certainly.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs.
Not
for
really.
sure. If you're just joining us, we are counting votes, ladies and gentlemen. We are either going to have soon President-elect Kamala Harris or
How's that possible
President-elect
when it's
Donald
leaning so hard
J.
Trump?
And which
Yeah,
it is,
disrespectful jerk
I
off.
don't think we are going to know by midnight tonight. There are a number of paths to victory for both candidates, but admittedly, slightly more paths at this stage of the game.
That's
for
admittedly.
Donald Trump. We don't yet know anything about the presidential results. There is still a ways to go here.
We know a lot about the presidential results.
It appears as though in Ohio, challenger Bernie Moreno has defeated Sherrod Brown. This is a second seat gained for Republicans who are very much on the path to taking control of the Senate. Taking control of the Senate.
They already did take control of the Senate.
The House is another story, but very likely,
they won the House too.
Republicans will control the Senate. So Wisconsin, Trump growing the margin. In Michigan, what was 100 and can't read my own handwriting, 107 or 167. It was 107. Now it is 102,000. So Michigan is stabilizing. And Pennsylvania, which could be the absolute critical one, was recently 177,000 vote margin. It has now gone up to 189,000 vote margin. Could reverse. We're going to follow it.
It could. We're going to follow it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude our coverage for tonight.
Because you laughed.
I have to get up in a few hours to do tomorrow's show. Make sure that you are ready for 4 years of something. I don't yet know what it's going to be.
Pleasure,
but it's going to be 4
decency,
years of something. And we
no
will
more
see everybody
DEI,
tomorrow
racial animus,
with the new show.
dividing us along
maybe
race.
We will know who the winner is by then. Maybe we will not. What
maybe
a night.
You'll cry for us.
Let's not lose hope. It could still go either way, and we must count all of the
That's
votes.
why you're packing it in, because it
see
can go
everybody
either way.
tomorrow.
We all believe that.
Well, welcome to the show, everybody. It was a very long night, and I completely lost my voice. And now just kidding. I wouldn't do the show. I wouldn't do the show if my voice were that bad. I am tired. My voice is strained. It was a long and sadly not a positive night. But I am here. Let me just say right up front, I know what so many of you are feeling. I'm getting the messages from some of you that you're tuning out. We are seeing the cancellations. We are seeing the people unsubscribing.
Good.
Let's start with the obvious.
Leave the
no
propaganda
way to sugarcoat
behind.
It. Very bad news.
Very
failed
good news.
former
God, he gets
President
everything
Donald
wrong.
Trump is poised
Successful
to become a failed
current
president once
Donald
again.
Trump.
Donald Trump
Yes.
has defeated
If
Kamala
you
Harris.
have anything to do with it.
It has shocked the world that there are tens of millions of Americans in this
Who
country
have a brain,
willing
who
to
stand
do
up for
it
decency.
again. But it is.
Bite your lip
and we
more,
have
David.
to accept what is. As of this moment that I am recording today's program, Donald Trump has secured not only the Electoral College, but has also seemingly won the popular vote for the first time ever for him. Of course, he lost the popular vote in 2016, lost the popular vote in 2020. Just about everything that could have gone wrong for Kamala Harris did go wrong.
Well, that's partly because she can't even complete a coherent sentence and keeps repeating the same talking points over and over. Like you saying that it wasn't time to panic. I'll tell you when to panic. You never told us when to panic. You just quit on us. I was left in limbo. Maybe I should have panicked.
Pennsylvania, gone to Trump. Georgia, gone to Trump. A margin of victory in Florida for Trump that is more than 4 times bigger than his margin of victory in Florida in 2020. The idea that maybe North Carolina could save Harris, gone to Trump. Wisconsin, called for Trump, Biden won it in 2020. Michigan and Arizona, both states won by Biden in 2020. Not yet called, but as of this moment, Trump leading by 1.4 in Michigan, Trump leading by 4.2 in Arizona, and then Nevada, a state won by Biden in 2020, falls to Trump,
Red
called
across
for
the board.
Donald Trump. We need to be extremely honest with each other.
That would
and
be the
with
first time.
ourselves. Really need to be honest about what happened. A
You never
lot
are.
of the United States of America
Is stupid,
likes
let me guess.
what Trump is selling. It's not that they were confused. Some of them were. I will get to that. But
Of course
they
you will.
like what Trump is selling. They love transphobia, despite it being statistically a non.
No, I have 2 daughters, and I don't want a naked man walking into their dressing room when they're 12 years old. Yeah, I said it. Does that make me transphobic? I think not. Do whatever you want to with your own body. Don't encourage my teenage kids when they get to that age to alter themselves and get their genitals chopped off. Is that too much to ask?
An issue. Men and women's sports, as Trump describes it, is resonating with much of America. The idea
it should.
of a mass deportation of disproportionately brown people that they've
People that are in the country illegally, you're making it about race. It's not about the color of skin. It's about the fact that they're here illegally.
been convinced have or will wrong them at some point in the future. Trump ran
to
on
Lincoln
it,
Riley's mom.
and a lot of America liked it because this is not just an electoral college win. It is, as of this moment, a popular vote win as well. There is a preference overall right now among Americans. There is a preference for a convicted felon, billionaire, wannabe fascist over a black woman with a completely uncontroversial sort of center-left economic message and policy.
She's a communist, and she lied about Joe Biden and his mental acuity, as you all did. Everything that the Democrats tell us is lies, including the 34 convictions that they got against Donald Trump in the state of New York that were completely fabricated. This is why I hate the Democrats, and I'm so happy that you lost. And look at that despondent look on David Pakman's face as he's regurgitating his lies.
Trump won the popular vote. Donald Trump ran one of the worst campaigns you can imagine. He was barely conscious at some of his events.
Oh, yeah. This is
He had
the
a
man claiming to
Nazi-style
tell us the
hate rally
truth.
at Madison Square
Of
Garden.
course. Everything is a
half
Nazi.
ago.
Everything.
So
Everything.
it's all bad in that sense. Arguably
it's all
the worst
good.
president in history. When he was voted
Joe
out,
Biden you're talking
he
about,
tried
right?
to stage
Joe
a coup.
Biden?
He took
No. They staged the coup against the worst president in American history, taking all of the preliminary votes that went to him and installing Kamala Harris.
national secrets and stored some of them in his bathroom.
Lies.
And we now are going to face what some other countries have faced before. And if there's any reason for optimism, it's that other countries in their history have faced this. We haven't, but other countries have. A government that falls into the hands of an unrestricted, unfettered, authoritarian madman with his right-wing henchmen and henchwomen who are obsessed with dismantling our institutions.
It's over, dork. You
Ignoring
lost.
the rule of law, saying F you to our global alliances,
No wonder people unsubscribe from
and
your channel.
totally abandoning constitutional norms. Other countries have survived it, and I believe the United States will also survive if we stay engaged.
No. The
And from
United
some of
States
the
will
early data
stabilize
we are getting
and heal.
internally from our show, it seems that there are people here who are not going to stay engaged.
Well, there you have it. My old favorite friend, David Pakman, as I battle it out one-on-one with him on his election night stream. Who do you think won? Leave that in the comments. I find him to be despicable. I find him to be absolutely dishonest, a charlatan, somebody that engages in a debate in a completely disingenuous manner over and over again. And you saw that at the end as he was calling Donald Trump's names. Cry baby David Pakman. I revel in this, and once again, like I said at the start of the video, maybe I'm Uncle Rico, watching these things over and over, thinking about the time that I threw a football over a mountain. But David Pakman is such a shill and a liar that I enjoy watching, especially the ending where he broke down. Guys, please subscribe to the channel, leave your thoughts in the comments section, and thumb up the video, and have yourself a great day. And just remember that Trump won, and America can now expel the virus. And Donald Trump is the antidote. Donald Trump is the antibiotic. Peace and blessings.